South Africa has been plunged into shock and dismay this evening following the revelation that 92 new arrest warrants have been issued against some of the most senior and influential members of the African National Congress, ANC. This unprecedented move has shaken the nation's political foundations, leaving the ruling party scrambling to contain the fallout as outraged citizens demand transparency and justice. Reports indicate that the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, has compiled a confidential list of 92 individuals allegedly implicated in wide-ranging investigations involving corruption, fraud, and money laundering. These warrants were intended to remain sealed until formal arrests, but their unexpected leak to the media last night triggered a nationwide political crisis that has left South Africa reeling. According to a senior law enforcement source, this represents one of the largest and most coordinated anti-corruption crackdowns in the nation's history. No one at the top is above the law anymore, the source emphasized. Those reportedly on the list include former cabinet ministers, provincial premiers, and high-ranking ANC officials accused of participating in rigged tenders, illicit offshore transfers, and the mass looting of public funds. Billions of rands allegedly siphoned from state coffers meant for public welfare lie at the center of these allegations. When news of the leak broke, panic reportedly erupted at Luthuli House, the ANC's headquarters. Witnesses described chaotic scenes as top party members frantically contacted lawyers, allies, and family members. The atmosphere within the party was one of complete panic. One insider revealed, "Some leaders are trembling, fearing their names are on the list, and some already know they are." Shortly after midnight, an emergency meeting was reportedly convened at the party's headquarters to assess what some insiders are calling the most significant political crisis since the Jacob Zuma era, infamous for state capture and systemic corruption. While the NPA has not officially released the names, several investigative journalists claim to have confirmed portions of the list through independent verification. Among the alleged individuals are ANC veterans, wealthy business magnates with deep political connections, and provincial leaders accused of enriching themselves through inflated government contracts. One reporter even hinted that individuals within President Cyril Ramaphosa's inner circle might be implicated, though these claims remain unsubstantiated. Nonetheless, the mere possibility has intensified national anxiety, suggesting that corruption might extend further into the upper echelons of government than South Africans had ever imagined. As the leak spread across social media, public outrage exploded. Hashtags such as number 92, names, number on our list, and number clean up government began trending, uniting a nation demanding accountability. For countless citizens, this development represents long-awaited justice finally catching up with the powerful. On platforms like X and Facebook, calls for full disclosure grew louder. One viral post read, "We've been robbed for years. Now we want to see every name on that list. No more secrets." Activist groups quickly organised nationwide protests, marching toward the union buildings in Pretoria and provincial government offices, calling for resignations and the public release of the entire list. Meanwhile, President Ramaphosa finds himself at the centre of an immense leadership test. His office issued a brief statement urging patience and calling on the public to allow due process to unfold. However, critics accuse him of stalling to protect political allies. Political analysts warn that this crisis could deepen the already widening divisions within the ANC. As one commentator, Leo Matiba, observed, if Ramaphosa acts decisively against his supporters, he risks alienating his own base. But if he stays silent, he appears complicit, and that could mark the end of his presidency. The NPA has insisted that arrests could occur within weeks as individual case files are finalised and the warrants formally executed. Sources within the Hawks, South Africa's elite anti-corruption unit, confirm that specialised task forces have been deployed across several provinces to prevent suspects from fleeing or destroying evidence. If these reports prove accurate, the nation may soon witness a historic series of high-profile arrests involving some of its most recognizable political figures. Still, legal experts caution that the process could trigger a constitutional crisis if sitting or former ministers are charged, testing the resilience of South Africa's judiciary and political institutions like never before. Within the ANC, internal turmoil is reportedly escalating. Party spokespersons have dismissed the leak as a politically motivated effort by opponents to destabilize the organization ahead of the 2026 general elections. However, critics argue that such denials no longer carry weight with the public. You can cry conspiracy every time the truth surfaces, a retired ANC veteran told reporters. Tensions are said to be flaring within the party's National Executive Committee. Some factions advocate full cooperation with investigators to demonstrate accountability, while others push for an internal inquiry to control the narrative and minimize reputational damage. This internal tug-of-war underscores how deeply the crisis has fractured the ruling party's unity. For ordinary South Africans, the unfolding scandal raises painful questions about integrity and the future of their democracy. Civil society groups and anti-corruption organizations have demanded that the NPA publish the list in full to restore public faith in the justice system. For too long, political elites have acted as if they're untouchable. One activist declared in a televised interview, "If the NPA truly stands for justice, now is the time to prove it." Many citizens agree that any attempt to conceal the names would further erode public trust in government institutions and law enforcement. The situation is also drawing international attention. Several diplomatic observers have expressed concern about the potential implications for regional stability, given South Africa's role as an economic and political leader on the continent. Financial analysts warn that markets could react sharply once arrests are confirmed, especially amid uncertainty about the nation's political leadership. Yet, some commentators believe that, paradoxically, this crisis could strengthen South Africa's democracy if the government handles it transparently. Bringing corrupt figures to justice, they argue, could signal a long overdue turning point, proving that even the most powerful are not beyond accountability. On the ground, the public mood is a volatile mix of anger, anticipation, and cautious hope. Across major cities like Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban, grassroots movements are organizing candlelight vigils and community dialogues on corruption. These gatherings symbolize a growing demand for civic engagement and ethical governance. For many South Africans, this moment is not merely about a scandal. It is a reckoning with decades of political betrayal, inequality, and lost opportunities. Some view it as a chance for national renewal, an opportunity to cleanse the system and begin anew. Others, more skeptical, fear it will fade into yet another cycle of empty promises and cover-ups. South Africa now stands at a decisive crossroads. If the NPA proceeds with prosecutions and the courts deliver convictions, this could become the most sweeping anti-corruption purge since the nation's transition to democracy. But if the process stalls amid political maneuvering or bureaucratic obstruction, it may instead expose the full depth of institutional decay and destroy what little public confidence remains in the government. The coming weeks will therefore test not only the survival of the ANC, but also the credibility of South Africa's justice system and the resilience of its democratic values. Whether this moment leads to a true cleansing of corruption or descends into yet another forgotten scandal remains uncertain. One thing, however, is clear: the walls are closing in, and for the first time in decades, the truth seems ready to knock boldly on the doors of power. South Africa's unfolding political crisis has gripped the nation and the world's attention. As citizens grapple with disbelief over the scope of the alleged corruption and the sheer number of high-profile figures reportedly involved. The leaked list of 92 names allegedly connected to fraud, money laundering and state capture has become the central topic of conversation across every level of society, from informal township gatherings to corporate boardrooms. The idea that so many powerful individuals could face criminal prosecution marks an unprecedented moment in South African democracy, one that may define the nation's political trajectory for years to come. In communities across the country, reactions are deeply emotional. For those who have endured years of economic hardship, power cuts, and unemployment, the news feels both vindicating and enraging. "We've always known corruption was killing this country," said one resident of Soweto during a public forum. But to see it confirmed like this, it hurts. It's like being robbed in broad daylight by the people who swore to protect us. Others view the scandal as a painful but necessary step toward accountability. Churches, youth movements, and trade unions have joined the public call for full transparency, arguing that justice must be visible and impartial to restore faith in the system. The political reverberations within the ANC are equally intense. Long-standing rivalries between reformists and loyalists have resurfaced, with each faction accusing the other of betrayal. Insiders claim that several provincial leaders have gone underground, fearing arrest or political retribution. Within the party's upper circles, whispers of secret deals and scapegoats have fueled paranoia. Some speculate that the leak may have been orchestrated by internal rivals, hoping to weaken certain factions ahead of the 2026 elections. If true, it highlights how the once dominant ANC has become consumed by internal power struggles rather than public service. International observers are closely monitoring the developments. South Africa's reputation as one of Africa's leading democracies and economic anchors is now at stake. Western governments and regional allies have privately expressed concern that a destabilized ANC could lead to social unrest or policy paralysis. Meanwhile, investors are wary of market volatility as the political uncertainty threatens to undermine business confidence. Yet, amid the chaos, a sense of awakening is emerging. Many South Africans believe this is a pivotal opportunity to rebuild, an inflection point that could either break the old cycle of corruption or entrench it further. In the coming days, as investigations proceed and arrests begin, the nation will confront the difficult question of whether justice in South Africa is truly blind or still beholden to those in power.